Hello everyone, that's a new video. Like and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
What can women do? But when men do it, it's a big no.
I was once at a party where there was a very physically abusive woman, an acquaintance of others present. She sat on various men's laps, pressed herself against them while dancing, put them in a stranglehold and, for example, kissed their necks and finally grabbed their crotch at some point. Each of them got upset with her at some point, including the partners of the men concerned who were present, who couldn't believe their eyes, hid from her, asked her to stop or pushed her away at some point. There was a lot of hustle and bustle. But bottom line, she behaved in such an extreme way, I can't even describe it very well anymore, that I'm sure that if she had been a guy, the police would have been called right then and there. I was once bowling on my birthday and my buddy called a few friends to come join us. One girl I've never met and don't know showed up, singled me out as the birthday boy, and I think in an extremely misplaced effort to make me feel special. Have a good birthday? She proceeded to steal my hat, drink my beer from the same glass, try to sit in my lap. I asked for my hat back, got a new drink, and kept changing seats, obviously uncomfortable and uninterested. When I went to take my turn, she came up and basically stuck her tongue down my throat. I left immediately and went to another friend's house to process what the hell just happened. She stole my number off his phone and procked to call me begging me to come back to hang out, found all my socials. I had to start finding her to block her before she found me. Hell no. I had a girl steal my hat at a bar once. She got pretty upset and tried to have me thrown out when I pulled her back by her hair and took my hat back. The bouncer she told watched it happen and thought it was hilarious. I'm in the military, and one of the women I work with is extremely handsy, worse because she's married. She likes to sit in men's laps, touch asses, biceps, all kinds of things. Ironically, most everyone finds it extremely uncomfortable. She knows I don't like to be touched, but she still grabbed, squeezed, or slapped my ass multiple times last week. I was so uncomfortable I nearly jumped out of my skin. Her husband was there and he just looked defeated. Casual violence in language in relation to partners, I could throttle my husband, is seen as a light-hearted statement to express anger, but if a man said the same thing about his wife, everyone would have a problem. A while ago, another post inspired me to actually take a look at how I was speaking to my BF. I had been tired of making all decisions and I realized I made all of the decisions because I hadn't given him room to feel to always comfortably express what he wants or thinks about some things. So I quietly thanked that anonymous poster because she might have had an incredible effect on our relationship and how much more consideration I take in speaking with him. I've made it a point to tell him his thoughts are valuable and stop making unilateral decisions. Anyone would tell a woman that my previous approach was abusive and controlling if I was a man. Edit, context is, he's retired and my monthly income is 4x his. I pay for about 80% of our lives and leisure. He can't have a post-retirement career while following me around the world. But he chooses to follow me at expense of his career. I once was changing at the pool, and a mom walked straight into the full male change room to check on her son. I kicked her out and reported it. Nothing happened. If I did that for my daughter, I'd be arrested and put on a list. As a single father of daughters, I see a lot. Side-eye glares from mothers when I take pics of my kids at the park. Inability to hire a babysitter that isn't an expensive professional. When my ex-wife would be physically abusive towards me, I was told to man up and it's not that big of a deal. Parents won't allow their kids, my kids' best friends and neighbors, to sleep over at my house. When I was a stay-at-home dad, people said I didn't work, but when a woman stays home, she's sacrificing for her family and is really family-focused. Inappropriately touching people on purpose, apparently. Least basing on double standards, like those Justin Bieber fan women when he was 12, Cardi B, well, more of that was drugging, but still, kicking boys in the scrotum in cartoons, female teachers with little boys, etc. I know it's a crime, still it gets a lot more acceptance in the public, at least in the West. compliment a female stranger on their looks/outfit. It's wild how the exact same behavior gets a completely different reaction based on gender. That party story is a perfect, albeit extreme, example of the physical boundary crossing that often gets dismissed. We're so conditioned to see men as the sole perpetrators that female perpetrators fly under the radar. This double standard just ends up hurting everyone involved. Emotional outbursts. Most commonly yelling/screaming. It's extremely common for a woman to yell and scream in an argument, especially when it's a fight with a romantic partner. Instantly swap it to a man doing the exact same things, volume, wording, gestures, body language, etc., and it's very common to have people label it abusive, scary, threatening, etc. It's a case of gender being the sole thing making something acceptable or not. Crying as well. Women can cry even for minor things. It's exceedingly common for men who do the same even for just more severe things to be looked down on and treated differently. Shamed as well. And before anyone starts to ramble about the patriarchy, most men who have had these experiences experienced it at the hands of women, not other men. Incoming sweeping generalization, but average man is willing to take on a lot more baggage from a woman than a woman would be for a man. I couldn't even imagine any girl seriously wanting to be with me if I was broke, jobless, lived with my parents and didn't have a car, but for some men's totally fine, great, even because they feel they can make her feel like she needs him, etc. I say this from experience. My sister is exactly in the position I stated, and she's never wanted for a boyfriend. I work at a boarding school. I can't go into female students' bedrooms when they're in school. Ask/beg for things/money. I want elaborate because if you're grown enough and aren't terminally online, this is quite apparent and demonstrable. Women can accentuate their boobs with clothes. People look at me weird when I do it with my balls, so unfair. Casually touch people. I used to grow my hair out and had these long curly locks. The gals at work, for whatever reason, felt like it was okay to just come up and touch them without asking. I am sitting there thinking, if I walked up to any girl in the department and ran my hand through their hair just to feel it, I would be in HR quicker than I could explain myself. Being a creep, when a woman flirts with a man or does weird stuff. Mostly it's just a shrug. But when men do it, it requires so much attention. I'm a teacher. I've seen women teachers jokingly pat young students on the butt, which I personally find extremely inappropriate, and admin doesn't care, staff doesn't care, parents don't care. If a man did it, the police would be called immediately. Stalking, hitting on man, domestic abuse, list goes on, a lot things. Assault the opposite gender in public. This is probably the one that sticks out the most. If a man hits a woman in public, white knights will appear and there will be an outcry. If a woman hits a man, it doesn't get anywhere near the same reaction, and if he hits back, he will be perceived to be the bad guy. This is probably the most black and white one in most Western countries. I can't speak for other continents, but here it would be like this. Crossing physical boundaries, like touching men without permission. Same thing with objectification. Some of the things I've heard women say about men they find attractive would make my male friends blush if I said the equivalent of that to them about a woman. Take their own kids to the park. Single fathers always get side eye. Most things, to be honest, people can insult men all you like, but you must never make fun or critic women, it appears. Criticize the other gender, which is wrong in itself, but on too many occasions have I seen a girl post something that says what men wear that women hate, and then the comments are hyping her up, but as soon as a guy does it, that's misogyny. Or you're a guy, we don't need your opinion. Adopting child of opposite gender. Apparently, women adopting boys isn't seen as much as problem as much as men adopting daughters. There is this just assumption that they're gonna groom them or something. The office I used to work in had a policy where it hired summer casuals who were going to uni in September each year to cover basic jobs while the peak summer leave kicked in. So we'd get an influx of temporary young people into the office each summer. Once, a higher-up manager, female, went round the office introducing this young lad to everyone. She introduced him to one bank of desks, all female, and said, "There you go, girls. Gives us something pretty to look at all summer, doesn't it?" And I remember thinking if a 50-something old man introduced a 17-year-old girl to a group of men old enough to be her father that way, he'd be lucky to only be fired.
Thank you for watching. Bye bye.